When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Do you believe the dead are returning to life and attacking the living?
I'm not so sure what to believe, Doctor.
They kill for food. They eat their victims. Do you understand that, Mr. Berman? That's what keeps them going.
I think Foster's right. We're losing.
Yeah, but not to the enemy. We're blowing it ourselves.
A dead body must be exterminated, either by destroying the brain or severing the brain from the rest of the body.
A friend of mine's got this helicopter. He does traffic reports for GON and he's running out with it.
9 p.m. all right.
Stephen, we can't. We've got to stay.
We've got to nothing, Fran. We've got to survive. Somebody's got to survive.
All police units have been issued heavy caliber sidearms. In fact, it will be essential to hit the zombie in the head in order to bring him down definitively.
When the dead walk, senores, we must stop the killing, or we lose the war.
Get his head up! Get his head up!
Let's say the lady gets killed. You be able to chop off her head?
We got this, man. We got this by the ass.
It's all been done.
Bands of looters are roaming the countryside, sacking or destroying everything they come across.
What the hell are they?
They're us, that's all. There's no more room in hell. Granddad was a priest in Trinidad. He used to tell us, when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to have a chat with you about Second Sight's Dawn of the Dead limited edition box set. One of my all-time favourite movies, Dawn of the Dead 1978. Starring Ken Foree as Peter, David MG as Flyboy Stephen, Scott Rayner as Roger, and Galen Ross as Fran. This is one of my all-time favourite movies, and it's been given the treatment I think it truly deserves. If you're a fan of this movie, you cannot go wrong with this box set. It has absolutely everything in it, and I'll unbox it now and give you a good look of everything that's inside. Right guys, so this is the set by Second Sight. Comes in this rigid case. Pops out like that. So you got that there like a stand. That's that. Lifts open like that. So it comes with Dawn of the Dead, Dissecting the Dead. So this is like loaded with all information about the movie, artwork, all that good stuff. Fingers to the bone, class conflict with the zombie cinema. So it just tells you all about the movie, basically. Dawn of the Dead, dissecting the dead. So just a really in-depth look at the movie. It's got some sick artwork on it as well. So that's that book. Then it comes with the novelisation of the movie as well, by George A. Romero. I think it's written by a woman as well, yes, Susanna Sparrow. I've not read this specific one, but I did have it on another novelisation, and it's really good. It's just pretty much like word for word the same as the movie. But yeah. This comes with some cool artwork as well. Dawn of the Dead, baby. Yep. Right. Let's have a look at the meat. So you got your 4 discs there. You've got theatrical cut, extended, cans cut, Argento cut, and special features. It comes with this here, with more sweet artwork on it. So cool, that, isn't it? Like the setting, like the car park of the mall. That's awesome, that is. So that's that. And then you've got the soundtracks to the movies. Original soundtrack by Goblin, the Beowulf Library Compilation Part 1, and the D-Wolf Library Compilation Part 2. The D-Wolf, sorry, not the Beowulf. And apparently, my friend was telling me it's pretty hard to get all these together in one set. So they've made a lot of effort into making like a really, really nice set. And the back of this one is just a smaller picture of the one from before. Right. This set didn't come with these art cards, so I bought them separately. I ordered them online. So you got Flyboy there, the Hare Krishna, the checkered shirt dude. He's like one of the most iconic ones. And then you've got the nurse zombie. So yeah, these didn't come with this set. They came with a certain amount of pre-orders in the States. So if you pre-ordered, if you were the first 500 to pre-order, you managed to get these. So I managed to snag them online and add them to the set. Some good stuff inside there. Yeah, so basically, Dawn of the Dead was the second zombie film in Romero's trilogy, as I like to call it. The trilogy is how I like to see it. A lot of the other stuff afterwards, I'm not a major fan of. And it started off, the first one was Night of the Living Dead, which I've got in the Criterion collection. If you're a fan of this movie, this is an absolutely lovely version to have. Some of the artwork's amazing inside. I'll give you a quick look what this looks inside. It comes with a poster. And there's the artwork there, if you can see that. Fantastic, that is. Yeah, so that's by the Criterion collection. There's a normal Blu-ray here, and it comes with a really, really cool documentary. So there's the standard Blu-ray. And it comes with Birth of the Living Dead. If you're a fan of Romero and you're a fan of zombie movies, you need to be picking this up. This is a cool documentary. Right, so basically it was 1978 and George A. Romero made Dawn of the Dead in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's such an important movie. If you're a fan of any sort of zombie movies, you know, the genre, Resident Evil, The Walking Dead, Return of the Living Dead, any zombie pop culture, anything, it's down to this movie. This movie is such an important film, and it's a really well-made, well-structured movie as well. You know, it has a lot of, you know, controversial themes running through it as well. You know, it's a social commentary about consumerism. So how they had it was basically like, when the zombies died, they were like zombies before they died. They were like bumbling idiots. All they cared about was like shopping, spending money, and like buying stuff. So their subconscious sort of sent them to the mall. So they just had it in them somewhere in the back of their grey matter to find their way to the mall. It was just something that was in there, and it was really clever thing to do, especially at the time as well. It was just, you know, the movie is laced with these little subtle undertones, which, you know, if you read between the lines, you can see it, and it's what makes it so special. So basically, it starts off with Fran and Stephen are in a news editing room, and it's going off in there. There's some discussions. They're doing a TV broadcast and all that kind of stuff, and you know, they're sort of explaining it, setting the tone that there's been some sort of outbreak, and one guy saying, you know, you need to kill them, the other guy saying, you know, we need to study them, blah blah blah, and then they just say, like, we're going off air, it's the end of the line type thing. So Stephen and Fran, they leave together. There's a helicopter leaving from the roof. So then it cuts to like a housing project in, like, I think it's all set in Pittsburgh, it is. So there's a housing project and a SWAT team that are going to take down some like South Americans or something like that. They look like they're white people dressed up as black people, to be fair. Quite poorly done as well, to be honest, at the start. But yeah, so they're taking down these group of people and infiltrating the tower block where they go into. So this is where you meet Roger and you meet Peter, like the heroes of the movie, if you like. So they go in there anyway, and there's a zombie outbreak in there. There's zombies in there. It's all going off in there. There's like one particular scene that me and my brother always used to cringe out at, where this zombie comes off the landing, and like his wife's like with the police, and she's like, ah, and like runs to him, and he like hugs her, like embraces her, and then he like bites a chunk out of her, and it's fucking horrible. Like, there's a big chunk out of her arm, and I think he takes a chunk out of her neck, but even now it's like, oh, it's rough, guys. So anyway, after that, they go down into the basement. There's one particular scene in the basement of the tower block where Pete and Roger are. So basically they cleared out the block and they head down to the bottom to have a breather. So Roger's a bit shook up by it all, so he goes down, he's being sick, and then Peter introduces himself. He's like, you're not alone down here. So they have a chat and a smoke down there together, and they go into another room, and George Romero set it up where he'd have all these zombies like in body bags, and like wrapped in cloths, and they're just like writhing on the floor, like eating on each other and like eating on body parts and stuff like that. But Ken Foree and the guy who plays Roger, Scott Rayner, they didn't know about this, so they just went into the room and they were like, "Ooh!" You know, you can see it in their reactions. They're like, "Jesus!" And in the special features, they even say, like, "You're never going to get away with this. In '78, you can't be getting away with this." Well, they did anyway, and they were pretty disgusted. Like, Scott said that he actually felt like physically sick when he like saw it. It's gross, it's horrible. They end up like killing everyone, killing all zombies, and leaving there anyway. So Roger knows Fran and Stephen. So he says to Pete, come on the helicopter with us. There's a helicopter leaving at this place, blah, 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 at this time. So just leave with us. So there we've got our 4 heroes of the movie, if you like. So they take off in the helicopter, and there's a pretty important scene in between. So they take off and they go to a refueling station, and they refuel there. And that's where one of the movie's most controversial scenes took place. So basically, Peter he goes into like the rest stop, if you like, and he's just getting a drink or, you know, doing a few bits and that, and he hears this knocking in the doors behind the door. So he opens the door, and there's 2 little kid zombies in there, actually played by, I think it's Tom Savini's niece and nephew, or it could be his kids, I could be fucking wrong. So basically, you see him kill these 2 kids, and you know, killing kids in movies it's, on some respects, it's what sets the movie apart from another movie, having like the balls to do it. But it was pretty controversial, and I think it was taken out of the theatrical cut anyway. There's 3 different cuts of the movie: the theatrical, the director's extended version, and the Dario Argento cut of the movie. So I think out the standard movie, I think it was cut. Could be wrong, comment below and tell me if I'm fucking up here. But yeah, so it showed that, and that was at the refueling station. And another really iconic moment from that particular scene was the helicopter blade zombie. So basically, Roger's refueling the helicopter, and this zombie comes like shambling over and like climbs up these boxes, and the helicopter blade's going round, and he just caps himself, just fucking takes his own skull off. And it's really cool how they did it. Tom Savini built, like, here's the kids bit now. I'm actually watching the movie now, and Ken Foree is about to kill these kids. Yeah, so Tom Savini had built like a structure on top of this guy's head, giving him about 2 inches of space, and filled it full of all like blood and gore and stuff like that, and put some fishing wire on there. And he had 2 pipes going up the back of the trouser legs and attached to the back of the guy's head. And he said to his friend, right, just run, hold on to the string and run. So he ran, and it whipped the top of the head off, and then the guys pumped the blood, so the blood came out, and then they like sort of superimposed the blade going round afterwards to give the effect that the guy had like stood up and killed himself into the blade, like chopped his own fucking head off in the blade. It's the gore in this movie, it's amazing what was done for the budget. Like, the movie was made for like $1.5 million, and you know, you can tell, you know, it was made on a shoestring budget. Like, there's a lot of good effects in it, but there's also some, like, they didn't have the money to get everyone looking like a zombie. So basically what they had to do is they had to like think outside the box, and they were like, right, okay. So they gave them like this like bluish hue. They just put some makeup on them. But the effects that they do have and these kills that they've got in this movie are some of the best that you'll ever see. Like, there's so many good special effects in this movie for what they had at the time. And Tom Savini is just an absolute genius when it comes to killing people. George A. Romero said to him, Tom, we're making a movie called Dawn of the Dead. I want you to be the FX guy on it. Start thinking of ways to kill people. So, like, it's got every sort of kill you can think of in this movie. There's, like, an amazing one where a guy gets stabbed in the ear, and it, like, pools his ear with blood. There's machetes to the head. There's body parts being chopped off everywhere, left, right, and centre. You know, you name it, they do it in this movie. And that was a real step up compared to Night of the Living Dead. Like, Night of the Living Dead was quite tame in comparison. You know, they really didn't have any money on that one. But on this one, they had a bit more money. But you'll see in Day of the Dead, the zombies looked amazing in that one because they had a much higher budget, and all the zombies looked like Michael Jackson Thriller zombies. You know, if Dawn of the Dead had the money and had the ability to use that to make all the zombies look absolutely amazing, they would have. But they did the best that they could on the budget that they had. So basically, when George A. Romero he went to Italy for like, I think he wrote the movie in 3.5 weeks. Dario Argento, an Italian horror director, you know, he directed stuff like Suspiria. If you don't know, you should go and check him out. So he invited George A. Romero over to Italy, and they got an apartment, and he wrote Dawn of the Dead in 3.5 weeks. And Dario Argento has done his own cut of the movie because a lot of the Europeans don't get the humour. So the Dario Argento cut pretty much takes out all the comedy value of this movie. You know, there is some silly bits, if you like, in comparison to today's sort of standards. Like, there's a bit where, I don't particularly like it myself, a bit where they're like running around like pieing zombies. Like, these bikers break into the mall, and they start pieing zombies, and it's a bit like, some people don't mind the comedy value. I don't mind it, but it's weird because I would always rather watch the extended cut of it, and it contains it in the extended cut, so I won't be too hard on it. So, after the pit stop, they make their way to the the mall. So they get themselves into the mall, they lock themselves down now. They're having a scouting the place out, clearing out the zombies, killing everyone, and locking themselves in now. You've got the 4 of them in there. They decided this is what they're going to do. They're going to barricade themselves in the mall. They're going to sit tight and just see what happens. There's food, water, resources. They've got fucking, like, Arnie's armory in there, which is pretty handy, to be fair, because they're in the middle of a fucking zombie apocalypse, and they're ready to roll. So it's like in 2 segments, this bit. There's like the first bit where they lock down, excuse me, and then there's a second bit where they need to get some trucks, and this is where Roger gets bitten now. So Roger takes a bite, and then unfortunately that's him fucking done then. So it's a slow progression for Roger as well. So he's in the movie for a little bit longer. He, you know, he deteriorates and deteriorates and deteriorates, and his scene's pretty heavy, to be fair, when he gets killed. You don't see the kill, but it's pretty heartfelt. He's like just sat there in bed, like talking to Peter, and he's like, he just starts like rocking under the bed, and then it comes back and he's all like zombie makeup, and then it's Pete, boom, kills him off. So then you've got Roger's down, and then basically these bikers, they see that there's activity going on in the mall, and Tom Savini, who's the FX master on this movie, he's one of the crew of the bikers. So they see what's going on, and they say on the radio, we don't like it, you know, you're not letting us in, we want to come in, and we're coming in, we're going to come tonight, and we're getting ourselves into this mall. So they go into the mall, and they cause all kinds of fucking carnage. They've had it locked down nice and tight, they ruin everything, they bust the place down, zombies are floating around everywhere. It's just throwing a massive spanner in the works, to be fair. So this is where Flyboy Stephen gets a bite. He's like down in like the basement area, and he you know, he's like fighting his way through the basement area, and he gets a bite and gets caught in the lift, and gets like, basically they all come in the lift after him, and then when the lift opens again, they're like walking away from him, and he's a zombie then. And he does a really like bizarre zombie where he's got like a pistol just like hanging off his finger, and he has his like body contorted at a funny angle, and he's almost like he's like constantly falling over. So he's like stumbling and like staggering forward all the time. And he's like, you know, it's really like iconic. Obviously, if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But then that's Stephen done. He makes his way back to their secure area. They've got an area upstairs which is like locked away, and he somehow makes his way back there, him and the Hare Krishna zombie, and then Pete has to take him out. He just blows his fucking brains clean out with a rifle, and it is a glorious kill shot, man. Proper fucks him up. So then we've got Pete and Fran are the only 2 left. So it's all going off tits up. In between this time, there's been some of the best carnage canned in a whole movie. There's people killed left, right, and fucking centre. Bodies chopped up everywhere. It's all going off. This is where all the action takes place. It's a movie where there's peaks and valleys with the action. You know, it'll be like a good action star. There'll be some character development. There's a lot of character development. It fleshes these guys out really well and makes you really enjoy the characters. You know, you feel for them. You know, like Fran starts off as like the weakling. She's just dead weight. She's like, you know, why is this fucking bird here? But then she develops as a character, and you learn to appreciate her more and more. And there's quite a lot of controversy with her character as well, because she's pregnant in the movie. And well, you find out halfway through the movie that she's pregnant. And Pete turns around and he's like, you know, we can't deal with this if you want to. We can, you know, we can get rid of this for you. So, you know, that's quite, you know, would they put that in this day and age? I don't know, maybe. But it's a controversial movie, and they like, you know, going against the grain, if you like, with these type of movies, especially George A. Romero. You know, he wasn't afraid to go against the grain. You know, it was, it's guerrilla filmmaking as well. You know, it was friends and family on the set all the time, and like everyone who worked on this movie said that George A. Romero was like the best guy, the coolest guy to work for. He gave you so much creative freedom. You know, everyone wanted to work. It was like a great film set to work on. You know, they didn't want to go home, they didn't want to go to sleep, people working for days and days on end. It was like everyone was buzzing to be on this movie. People were fucking banging on the door saying, let me be a zombie in this movie. They, you know, I don't want paying, they just wanted to be part of the project. You know, as I would now, like if it was happening down here, you know, rest in peace George A. Romero, but if he was working down in Tesco's down the road and they were doing it, I would be hammering on the door saying, can I work for free? I'll do anything to be in this movie. You know, that's the sort of vibes it was. You know, he would say, this is what I want you to do, and, you know, off you go, do whatever you want. And then he would come back and say, you know, you're happy with that? You know, he would give you the creative freedom that a lot of other directors wouldn't. You know, they'd want things done a specific way. Do it this way, do it that way. No, don't deviate from what I'm saying. Where he gave you, he was like a friend and a mentor as well as your boss, if you like. So yeah. The movie, it was supposed to have an ending where basically Pete is at the end and he's got this Derringer and he's just like sitting in the room. Fran is bailing to the helicopter on the roof and Pete's just there with his Derringer. He's about to blow his fucking brains out. So they were going to do it where they were going to blow his, he was going to blow his brains out and Fran was just going to jump into the helicopter blade. But they just thought, you know, they've gone through all this just to kill him off at the end. Let's do something different. And if I remember correctly, they didn't even film them scenes. So what happens is he's about to kill himself and he just has a change of heart last minute and just fights his way through all these zombies. And I always remember as a kid, like me and my little brother used to watch this a lot when I was a kid, and we had it on VHS at my granddad's house, but it didn't have a box. All it said on the side was zombies. That's all it said. It wasn't even like a handwritten thing. It was just a yellow sticker on the side that said zombies. And I always remembered, even from like a 10, 12-year-old watching this movie, that bit at the end where he was going to do himself and then he fights his way all the way through, beats them all up, kills them all, gets out of there, gets on the helicopter and gets off with Fran, and it's both of them gone. You know, I would have liked to have seen them two return, or at least seen Ken Foree come back in the next one. You know, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, you can watch them films in any order. There's no sort of continuity in them. You know, they're not attached, they're just set in the same universe, if you like. So you could watch 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, blah blah blah, you get the point. They're all their own sort of standalone beasts. But I would have really loved, like, Ken Foree as Peter is one of my all-time favourite characters. I love the guy, he's so good. And in the first one, it was very controversial because George A. Romero had a black man as the lead. You know, back in the 60s, you know, that wasn't a done thing. You know, it just wasn't at the time. It was a very controversial decision and a really a really good decision. It was just brilliant idea from him and it worked really, really well. And, you know, it changed the way people perceive movies as well, which I really like as well. I really enjoy these movies because, you know, on the surface they're just zombie movies, but if you scratch a little deeper, there's much more meaning to them. You know, there's a lot of depth to these films, and that's why Dawn of the Dead is one of my all-time favourite movies. You know, this is like a major influence on pop culture, this movie. Like I said previously, like, you know, you've got your Resident Evils, you've got your Call of Duty Zombies, The Walking Dead, the other one, what's it, DayZ or whatever it's called, like any sort of zombies. If you like zombies and you're a fan of zombie movies, you have Dawn of the Dead to thank for that. You know, it's the influence. If that movie wasn't made, you wouldn't have any of this stuff today. It's George A. Romero that you have to thank for, I have to thank for, because we just wouldn't have any of it. It's such a important film. That's all I can say about it, really. It's just so influential. And you know, if you're a 20-year-old now and you know, you would watch this movie and you may think it's pretty hokey, you know, I can understand that. It's pretty dated, you know, it's made in the end of the 70s, you know, it's a, you know, a relatively cheap movie to make, but if you can just go in with an open mind and just enjoy it for what it was, and try to sort of set yourself up into the mind frame, then, you know, like it was on a small budget, it's a small group of people making the movie, it's not a big blockbuster, it's not a Marvel movie, this, you know, but, you know, it's a great movie, it's not a cheesy movie, it's, you know, some people could be like, oh, it's just a cheesy, shitty movie, but, you know, if you go in with an open mind, then I think you'll really, really like it, to be fair. It has an interesting soundtrack by an Italian band called Goblin. You know, there's some, if you like, elevator style music through it, and it has that really good, like that it's just like synonymous to me with this movie, and that like warp, like that sort of, you hear it on Shaun of the Dead as well. You know, when I hear these noises, I instantly think of Dawn of the Dead. Like when someone says to me zombie movie, I think Dawn of the Dead. This movie is just, you know, it's up there. It's in my top three number one. Sorry, it's in my top 3 horror movies of all time. You know, I've got Halloween will be up there, and then it'll be closely followed by Dawn of the Dead. So, that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. That's all I've got on the movie, to be fair. It's one of the most influential zombie movies of all time. I really, really enjoy it, and I urge people, if you haven't seen it, go out and watch it. It's just a must-see. I've got it as well. I'll show you now, guys. I've got Night of the Living Dead on VHS. There. This is the colour version, this as well. This one's in colour, so I've got that one. Director's cut of Dawn of the Dead on VHS. I actually bought a video and TV combi recently, and I watched it on that, and it looks class as well. It suits it as well. It, like, on the VHS, on 4K, sorry guys, on 4K, it's probably one of the best upgrades I've ever seen. That and Jaws, to me, are the 2 best upgrades you will ever see of a 4K transfer, as up to date as it is now. You know, they look phenomenal. The sound on this movie, the look of it, look absolutely brilliant. But that being said, when I put this on the VHS TV combi, it suits it. It doesn't look shit. You know, I was thinking, yeah, put it on. I put it on to try it, just to test it, and I ended up watching the whole fucking movie. You know, it really fits. You know, it looks grimy and dirty on the little telly, and it really suits it. So I picked up this recently as well, Day of the Dead on VHS. I've never seen that cover before either. Very cool. Really enjoyed this one. It's a bit... Basically, I'll show you. That's Dawn of the Dead, that's Day of the Dead there. This Scream Factory edition, if anyone's thinking about picking it up, it doesn't work on UK Blu-ray players. You'll need to get a region-free player, which is a bit of a bummer. And I've got Night of the Living Dead with Tony Todd. I think this is directed by Tom Savini as well. Possibly. Was it directed by? I thought it was. Could be wrong. But yeah, so I bought this recently. I've not seen this since I was a little kid, so I might watch that one soon. So Day of the Dead's a bit different. It's about a group of survivors that are in a military bunker. There's a couple of scientists, one like search and rescue team, and some real arsehole soldiers that are down there. And they're doing all kinds of experiments on the zombies. You've got Bob, the zombie, that's like learning how to do things and stuff like that. And this is where they like really, really ramp it up on the special effects in this movie. It's not as good a movie as Dawn of the Dead, but the effects are amazing. Like, a lot of the zombies on this one are all done up. They're not like, they haven't got the whitewash over them or the blue hue. They're all like decaying, falling apart, all that kind of good shit. You know, the Colonel, what's the Colonel's name in this one? I can't remember the Colonel's name, but the Colonel's a real dickhead in this one. See him down the bottom there somewhere. He's a knobhead. When he gets it as well, you're chuffed. But yeah, it's a more small, tight, claustrophobic movie, whereas Dawn of the Dead is like a big movie. There's loads going on. There's loads of different locations and stuff like that. Like there's a couple of, I think it starts off Day of the Dead. They're doing like a sort of search and rescue on the streets, and then they go back to the bunker, and then the whole movie's just set in the bunker then. Yeah, so it's not my favourite, but I really do enjoy it. I enjoy it as a set piece, as the three of them. I also really enjoy the Zack Snyder remake. I think it's a really decent remake. I'd be interested to see Army of the Dead coming up soon as well. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's all I've got to say on one of my favourite movies. I don't think you can get this box set anymore, guys. You may struggle to get this, unfortunately. You know, you might be, I think I paid about £80 for this. You may be looking at 120 quid. If you can get hold of it and you're a fan of the movie, you definitely need to get this. But you can pick up the standard issue 4K from Zavvi. It's like 40 odd quid, I think. So if you do want it, it's definitely worth the upgrade. Yeah, if you're in some sort of like you're umming and ahhing about whether you should upgrade it from DVD or Blu-ray, 100%, without question, this looks like one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like on 4K, the colours, everything about it. When I put it in, I was just like, wow. Sat there and watched the whole thing straight away. It's just amazing. They've give it the special treatment, to be fair. What I would have liked them to do is maybe have done all three of them in a massive set like this. Just pull it open. It's got everything in it for you. But, you know, in a couple of years' time, that'll probably be bringing out. They don't want to bring it all out at once because there's a shit ton of money they can make. And suckers like me are going to buy it all. But yeah, thanks very much for sticking around. And let me know in the comments your thoughts on this movie. Do you like it? Have you got the box set? Are you trying to get hold of it? So thanks very much, guys. Really appreciate it. Subscribe, like, all that good shit. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.